Hi there, this is Molly and welcome back to my channel, and this time we're going to take a look at the Pisces full moon, which is happening September 14th, 2019. It's occurring just after midnight, and this is Eastern Daylight Savings Time, so it's 12:33 a.m. in this time zone, but please check your time zone. This full moon could be happening for you on September 13th. So every full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposing or opposite each other in the sky. It's the time when it is the brightest light, there is big illumination, and this is known as the harvest moon, the Pisces full moon, that is at 21 degrees of Pisces, just conjunct Neptune at 17 degrees of Pisces retrograde. Now, this is a very important energy, and I'm going to come back in a second here and talk more about this conjunction. But first, I want to draw your attention down to the opposing energies in this chart, which include the Sun at 21 degrees of Virgo, conjunct Mars at 17 degrees of Virgo. And then we also have Venus and Mercury conjunct there at 29 degrees of Virgo. So we have a lot of energy here in Virgo, pulling our time, energy, and attention into our Virgo areas of life. Our body, our work, our daily routines, what you're moving forward, where you're progressing, what is improving, what is changing. All very active energies, all very much about improving our lives and improving what we want to shift and change in ourselves. So this has been really supportive of your body healing, health, nutrition, all the typical Virgo themes and energies. But what makes this full moon especially interesting is that not only are Venus and Mercury conjunct at 29 degrees, this is a critical degree and it's a completion degree. Finishing up here, something is coming together and ending. Something is meant to be as is, meaning you can't spin in too many details for much longer. Accept what is as good enough, as perfect enough as you did your best, so that you can move on into the Libra energies here, which both Venus and Mercury will be doing right after this full moon. There's a lot of energy here about things shifting and changing in the second half of September, and that this full moon is showing you where you've done the best you could, where you have understood something that you didn't see before, new solutions, new ideas, new ways forward, and now you need to move forward. I mean, there's this sense of it needs to move on into some new ways of working with the energies. The Virgo energy is going to be lessening now after this full moon. However, one thing to note is that this sun at 21 degrees of Virgo is still receiving an energizing, powerful trine from Pluto at 20 degrees of Capricorn retrograde. So this has helped with the focus, the workload, making progress. This is always a time of transformation. So something started one way and now it's shifted here as we move through the middle of September, and it's made to feel more solid. And I feel this as powered up, okay? This is a powered up energy when there's a trine from Pluto. So make the most of it, of whatever has been happening for you as we approach the middle of September, because these strong earth signs are ensuring that we have what we need for the next few months, for the journey ahead. So that's important to see here in this dynamic. Now I'd like to go back up to the top of the chart here and take a look at this moon, which is still snuggled up there with Neptune. Now, this is the disappearing moon here. Anytime the moon is conjunct Neptune, either by transit or in a natal chart, the moon disappears. So what happened was a few hours before this full moon, when the moon in Pisces was at 16, 17 degrees, it went behind the veil. It went behind Neptune's veil into the other realms, and it went there to rise higher and connect with the intuitive messages and energies of the higher self. Neptune is the higher self. Neptune is outside of the world of physicality. Neptune is the intuition, the creativity, the muse, the desire to sleep and astral travel and go to other places. It's what we can't always understand logically, but we feel it deeply. So the moon just went there, behind the veil, to balance out all of this intense Virgo energies. Wherever you've been working, doing. This moon in Pisces, conjunct Neptune, is saying it's time for a break. It's time to release your hands from the handlebars, to surrender. And this can show up through many ways, of course. It can show up consciously and unconsciously. This can show up as a sickness if you've been working too hard and you need a break. This can show up as all of a sudden needing a lot of sleep, feeling exhausted. This can show up as sensing that you want to be alone and you just want everyone to leave you alone. So there's an energy here of strongly balancing all of the workload of Virgo and remembering, I'm hearing your eternal self. Remembering your eternal self. Because a lot of the energy has brought you into this current timeline, which is simply a small fragment of your energy, a small microcosm of who you are and what you're about. And there's a rising up here into the higher places within you, again, that higher self energy field, where you reconnect with a new peace. I'm hearing a peace. I'm hearing deeper breathing, a sense of, okay, I don't have to do, which isn't simply about the Virgo energy, but it's about a way of life. It's about how you're living your life and a connection to what you need and what you value that maybe you've lost a connection to. There's a reconnection energy here. And then as the moon voyages on this side of Neptune, so as it reaches the peak of this full moon, the moon is carrying information that it gathered from this journey behind the veil with Neptune. It goes behind the veil once a month, but this time the moon is saying, illuminate yourself. And now I'm seeing the visual of the crown chakra. So it's like rising up out of the energy of the physical body, going into the crown chakra to see what messages have been coming through for you that are helping you detach from all the doingness of your mind, of your life, of the people around you, of where you felt even overwhelmed. And the overwhelm can be showing up because we also have a square from Jupiter at 16 degrees of Sagittarius, and this energy is squaring Mars and the Sun, and it's squaring Neptune and the Moon. So this square, it is the overwhelm, but I feel like it's reminding you to carry the trust, hope, and faith with you. And again, to not get too bogged down by those Virgo details or the Virgo shoulds of life and how the to-do list can be never ending. I'm feeling like this energy, which is very strong mutable signs in this chart, by the way. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets in mutable signs. So here we have the energy of choices, possibilities, and staying open. And not putting too much pressure on yourself to know it all or to have it all figured out just yet. This Jupiter is going to gain strength after Jupiter completes the final square to Neptune at 17 degrees. By the end of September into October, justice returns. This Jupiter in Sag has been blocked in justice, in a sense of what is right, what is best, even a sense of believing in what is possible. And that's going to come through and it'll be alleviated by the end of September into October. So know that there is, it's interesting, I'm hearing congestion in this chart. There's a sense of a part of you might want to give up. A part of you could feel overwhelmed and you just need a break. And in which case, trust that. Give yourself a break as needed in whatever form that is. There are always healthy and unhealthy ways that Pisces operates with escapism. And so that would be up to you on what that looks like and what that feels like. But there's a sense here of balancing the physical world with the realms that are supporting your eternalness and that peace and that harmony of who you are and what you're about and the bigger perspective of it all as well. Now, do keep in mind that the moon, as it traveled through Pisces, has been supported by the sextiles to the Capricorn planets, Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn. I feel that this moon has a new strength. There's a new balance that's taken shape where you know how important it is to integrate your spiritual self, your spiritual needs, your soul's energy into your daily life. And that can't be negotiated and it can't be compromised. And it feels very strong as well during this full moon because of how Pluto also sextiles both Neptune and the moon. So there is a rising in what you know you need on a daily basis. And many people are learning how to leave guilt behind. That is an old programming. That is a really old programming. That guilt, perfectionism, and shoulds that many people have worked on and are continuing to work on. And I feel like there's going to be some revelations about how guilt, shoulds, and perfectionism may have been unconsciously driving you. I'm also hearing self-judgment. So that's really interesting, and that would make sense with this Jupiter in Sagittarius squaring Mars, and it previously squared the Sun. The self-judgments that we put on ourselves are being freed up. And that is something you can consciously work with through your belief systems about your own goodness, about knowing you're a good person, and not being locked down into the small picture or unrealistic expectations of self. Again, I'm feeling this loosening, a loosening, unraveling of tightness. Because Virgo can be very tight in what it wants, how it wants things to be, the process, the outcome, the standards. It can be very tight, and I'm a loosening of energies. I'm feeling like it shifts up, and you could feel that in your body, especially if you've been holding on to nerves, anxiety, worry. You're meant to work with that and to really release it, because it's representing something. It's like I'm seeing this pathway, and it's representing where you don't want to go. Okay, that's a weird way to say it. You're meant to set down the luggage, set down some of this stuff that's been stressful or too much, because the bigger pathway has a new programming of energies, a new programming of self-talk. That's actually part of the connection with Venus and Mercury, is the self-talk, the words you say to yourself, and whether those are supportive, kind, compassionate, and caring. Or in Virgo, again, they can be too particular or hard on yourself, or it can be the unconscious storytelling. Okay, the storytelling that you don't realize you're stuck in. It's meant to open up and loosen up, especially with this full moon. And especially with the moon conjunct Neptune. And especially between this deeper understanding of soul growth with Pluto. So I see a lot of energy shifting at this full moon. I'm hearing shape shifting, shifting into a new form, into a new way of seeing yourself with compassionate eyes, with a caring nature, to bring in a dose of this Pisces kindness, and to ensure that you're recognizing yourself at a soul level for everything your humanness is doing. Okay, so there is I'm going to call it a relationship realignment between your humanness and your spiritual self that is giving you a deeper connection to your power. And it's a self-reliance. It's truly a new sense of self-reliance as well. Okay. I feel like that's complete. And please note, again, all these mutable signs make change highly likely. This can be non-committal energy with all 7 planets in mutable signs. And one other note before we go, there are no air signs in the chart. No air signs. So that means we're not talking yet about everything that we've been working on, but that's going to change when both Venus and Mercury move into Libra and we literally get some fresh air, and they will then be in the air signs, and we'll be sharing, connecting, talking with people about all of the stuff that's been happening in the inner world. So I hope that has given you some good understanding around this Pisces full moon, and I appreciate you joining me. I'll be back to talk with you about the Libra new moon on September 28th in just a few weeks. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much for your comments, your likes, your subscribes, and for sharing these videos. I'm very grateful that you are as passionate about astrology as I am. And please know that you can learn astrology from me. I teach like this. I teach very visually. And more information is below this video about the various classes I offer. Take good care, and I'll see you back here soon.